So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and today I'm joined by Joey Toscano, and he's the singer, guitar player, and sometimes sings for the band IOTA. And IOTA is a psychedelic, like hard rock trio from Salt Lake City, Utah, and they have a new album coming out this Friday, and we're here to talk all about the album and other stuff. So first of all, Joey, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, Hector. Thank you.
No, thank you for agreeing. So I got the promo for the music, and it wasn't. I'm like I heard I read the description. I was like, I never listened to this band, but I like the artwork and the description. So I check out your first album too, Tales, that came out 16 years ago. So that's a long time. And the new album, for people who don't know, it's an album that's based on dreams of concept of 5 dreams. So it's 5 songs, and it's called Pentasomnia, which translates to 5 dreams. So I found that, yeah, that's very interesting. And we'll take a look at the cover later on because I like to talk about covers. So 16 years, man. I know that I read that you recorded this live in 2018 and 2019. So hopefully you wanted to obviously put this out earlier, but a lot of shit happened. And now we're putting out on 2024. But even though 2018 and the other one you put it out like in was it 2007 or 2008?
Yeah, around there. Yep, 2008, I think, officially.
Yeah, and you developed like a cult following. And I listened to both albums, and I must say that they're both very different. The first one, Tales, to me is more sludgy and more like abrasive, and this one is more psychedelic. Like it feels like a dream. So it's more psychedelic in nature and more clean singing, more of that like 70s like prog rock type of influence. So yeah, first of all, like when you made Tales, take us back in time to when you first started and released Tales. What happened after that with the band? Because obviously of the long gap.
Yeah, yeah. When we wrote that record, I mean, it was just kind of a turbulent time back then as well, I guess. IOTA had been around in some form for a few years before that. And we'd gone through a couple of drummers, and so Oz and I were the primary songwriters, and we got together with a guy named Andy Patterson after we had written a couple of demos for that album. And Andy he's a bit of a legend around Utah. He's been around for a really long time. He played in the hardcore punk scene when he was younger. He was in a lot of well-known bands there, and then he would later go on to do a lot of pretty cool things. But he agreed to. He's a recording engineer too, by the way. I forgot to mention that part. But he agreed to basically play on that record, and that record. We essentially did the exact same thing. We just got into a studio. Oz and I had written the long track, the 20-minute long Dimensional Orbiter track, before we got in there with him. But then pretty much from the rest of the songs, we just wrote them kind of on the fly and recorded that album really quickly with him. And then the rest of the history of the band is kind of as kind of off the cuff as the album process was, where we went on a couple of tours. We did some South by Southwest stuff, and really just nothing really too amazing. It's not like an amazing tale or anything, but the band just got really busy. We started writing, and then everyone else just fell into other projects. Oz, he was buddies with these guys in a band called Gaza that was a heavy metal act, and from around that time. And he started a side project with them, and then Andy started up some other projects, and he actually ended up joining a band called Sub Rosa that got pretty big, and they actually blew up pretty big, and that took up all his time. And then so from there, I just took off and started another act myself. And
Dwellers. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started Dwellers out of that. And really, it was just a matter of we couldn't get our schedules lined up. Andy himself was always really busy being a recording engineer and being a very high demand drummer. And then Oz as well had some other projects. So that's really all it came down to. We just couldn't get our schedules to align, but we always stayed friends and we never stopped talking to each other. And we always would say we should write another one. And so around 2018, we just decided to get together, and we wrote Pentasomnia in the matter of about, I think, five days.
So one song per day.
Yeah, about that. Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was like the tail end of 2018 and then the very beginning of 2019. So it might have been about 8 days total. But yeah, we just kind of got together, had some ideas, turned the record button on, and that was it. Just recorded it from there. So the bass track, all the foundational tracks are live, and then we added vocals later.
Okay, yeah, and so the album is 5 tracks, and it's all about like 5 different dreams. Is it like one dream that follows to the next, or is each track like a separate dream?
I think I'd say they're all separate. It's not, yeah, they don't flow right into one another. It's not that much of a concept album. In fact, the dreams that we kind of are alluding to the fact that hardly any of us even really remember recording it. So that's kind of where it started from when we were trying to think of names for the album. Really, Oz was the guy that was like, "Hey guys, you remember these songs we got together?" And both Andy and I were like, I hardly remember that at all. And so the idea of dreaming sort of came out as a joke in reference to that, but then the lyrics themselves started shaping up to really telling that story of being in kind of in a dream throughout different sort of mental states. And that's so the lyrical content is loosely based on somebody waking up from some dream in some way or another. And it's just a different subject matter per song, really.
Yeah, because I was listening to them, but I didn't have the lyrics. So I'm like, I was like wondering like if it was a one flowing dream. But for example, the album starts with the song The Intruder. And on that one, I got like the singing that you're doing there. I don't know why I got a lot of like In the End vibes from The Doors.
Oh, yeah.
In like I don't know if you got if that was the approach that you were singing, but I thought of like the way you were singing that. I felt like it was like alluding to like a Jim Morrison type of vibe.
Yeah, I can't say that that was a direct influence at all, but I mean,
so he didn't come to your dream with the Indian.
No, there were no Indians, nothing like that. Yeah, no. They are you know, each dream I think is about, it's not about one specific person through the whole song. It could be taken that way, but I'm not trying to make it as solid or concise of a, concept album in that way. It's pretty loose, like The Intruder is really about the general concept of somebody's standard day-to-day mental state suddenly being interrupted by some either catastrophe or some other sort of esoteric or existential dilemma, so to speak. So that's each name is really about that process that happens to us when we're going through our everyday lives. So The Intruder is like a sudden disruption, some sort of existential drama happening, which happened to a lot of my friends and myself, during, 2020 through 23. And then, The Witness is about, really just all it is a guy sort of coming to see things that maybe he hasn't seen or even noticed before, but they've always sort of been there. So it's pretty loose, but it is still all about mind states, which in essence are really, dreams, if you think about it. If you
So you first wrote the music in 2018, 2019, and after 2020, when did you write the lyrics and the singing?
I started writing the lyrics, I think, in 2021. Yeah.
Okay.
We finished vocals and some extra guitar parts, some solos and stuff. I think around 2022 it was all finished and wrapped up, but it takes a while to get it through all the processes. You've got art, you've got all kind of stuff. Yep. Mastering, etc. Yeah.
So I always find dreams a fascinating topic because it's well, they've done movies about being killed in your dreams, obviously Freddy Krueger, and because think of the most vulnerable there's the most vulnerable times that you're in is like when you're sleeping in the toilet or taking a shower. Those are the three times I think left that you're most vulnerable. But if you think about it, I think like sleep would be the first one because you're asleep. Like if you're sleeping, if you're like I'm a light sleeper, so anything can wake me up. There's people that are asleep and like nothing can wake them up. So when you started this, you didn't know that this album was gonna be based on this subject of sleep and dreams.
Right. Not when we got together and started writing it together. No concept about the album really was stated or anything like that. And IOTA is kind of that way. And in fact, I was just saying this to Andy the other day that I used to think that I understand what the band was about and what we were trying to do. But in reality, I didn't understand it all, which again is kind of like going along. We always think we kind of have a good sense for what we're doing and what our motivations are and what the thing is we're trying to do. But this band for me is completely uncontrollable, and whatever comes out. And that's kind of a newer realization for me personally. I have no control over the band and what type of music really we create. And that's sort of the magic for the band itself. We just get together. We try not to have any preconceived notions about anything. There might be a couple of discussions about like, what tuning do you want to do? And this album we actually tuned up. From the first record, Tales, we were tuned down. So that's probably why it sounds a little heavier, a little sludgier. And about the only decisions we made going into the studio for this one were, let's try tuning up. Let's tune to a standard tuning, and let's try to make it heavy, quote unquote. I don't know why I used air quotes, but let's try to make it heavy, where we kind of come from a world where heavy means you tune down and everything's got to be brutal. And we were like, let's try to be heavy, but not so, from a different perspective. So
like a psychedelic type of heavy.
Yeah, a little more a little more soupy, a little more, a little more psychedelic.
Yeah, and in the 2010s, there were a lot of bands that were doing like more that psychedelic style. I remember one that broke up that I loved called The Sword. Awesome band, but unfortunately they broke up. So yeah, it's cool that you're putting out an album that dedicated to dreams. But then there's a band like Sleep Token that took that idea and they worship sleep, but you sound nothing like that band.
Oh, I've not heard. I have actually not heard them, but I have heard the name before.
Oh yeah, they're kind of like you don't know their identity, and they wear hoods, and apparently they're like they worship sleep. Or
That's cool.
uh, yeah, it's like a cult
Right.
when it sounds like that. So yeah, so so the songs are all like individual dreams. They don't run into each other. And something that you did on this album is that the lengths of the song are like a little bit shorter than on Tales, because obviously on Tales you have a 20-minute song. You have a few songs here that are like 7 to 8 or 9 minutes, but you have like the last one's like 3.5, a 5-minute song. So in a sense, it's more you like compacted more the sound on this one than from the previous album.
Yeah, tried to get more direct. And yeah. So that was a conscious decision for sure as well. Like, especially the very last track, because it's a little slower. It's kind of got, I guess you would call it a doomy sort of riff, whatever. But I think with that one, the discussion was, a lot of doom songs are long, and I have a long running joke with my friends where I would love to create a punk rock version of doom, a doom band. Because when I grew up, I listened to a lot of punk rock, and the songs were 30 seconds long, 1 minute
Yeah,
long, and I really got a kick out of it. I
like Dead
love.
Kennedys, like super like
Yeah.
short songs, and yeah, to the point.
Yep. Yep, super short, like dealing with it from DRI, super short. You so I still have a fantasy. I don't know how to make it work because just one Doom riff in like traditional Doom is like 5 minutes long. So I still trying to figure that one out. But that last track is definitely our attempt to make a short Doom song. And so I'm still trying to figure out how to do those 30-second.
Yeah, because sometimes Doom, yeah, you like the note and it can like stay for 30 seconds and then it doesn't change.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can tell, yeah, doing 20 like well, there's a Doom band called Bellwitch that did an album that's one song, and I think the song is 70 minutes.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, and I actually I interviewed one of the members for another project, and I asked him like, when you were writing this song and you're playing this, did you think like, what if I need a bathroom break, like a 70-minute song? That's an hour and 20 minutes of a song. That's
right.
just. And I remember I listening to it. It's one song, but it's so long. So I want to show the artwork for the album.
Yeah.
The artwork kind of reminds me of there's a band called Leprous that had an album a few years ago, and this artwork kind of reminds me of one of their albums. But yeah, it's a cool artwork. You can see that there's a human body, and his head is missing. So tell me a little bit about the inspiration for this artwork.
Yes, my sister did this actually, which
Oh, awesome.
I think is really cool. We really tried with this record to try and keep everything about it in the family, so to speak. So having my sister do it was really just a great honor for me to be able to have her be able to do something, because I've always loved her artwork. And this one, she does a lot of stuff like this. She does these dreamy, kind of abstract drawings in this black and white, tight line drawings. Her name is Danny Joy, if anybody wants to look her up.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was doing some other stuff for me actually. From my direction, because I have some other projects going on, and I was giving her some direction on some things I wanted, and then she just happened to show this to me, and I loved it so much, and it just fit with the lyrics. By then I'd written the lyrics for Pentasomnia. I hadn't come up with a title yet, but she showed me this, and it just fit. It just clicked. I thought it was jarring, a little bit. it made me a little bit uncomfortable at first. I was like, it's just the fact that the face is missing. There's the body's kind of twisted. There's weird things going on with it, and then the way the sort of abstract stars are appearing up in the other corner. It's almost like the face has kind of started, the head has started to dissolve and turn into these back into stars or molecules, or however you think of that sort of thing. And for me, that is an ongoing theme, I think, just with my life and sort of the way I see the world and what we are as humans, and where we come from. This to me speaks to that, and that imagery kind of represents that sort of returning back into molecular stardust, so to speak. And it really is kind of like a dream. Basically, when you're dreaming and you dream about yourself, it's like you always have these things that, like, things aren't quite fully formed. You could never yell loud enough when you're dreaming. In your dream, you might be trying to yell at somebody and you can never yell out enough. Another theme for me when I dream is I try to run when I dream, and I can't run fast enough. It always feels like I'm swimming when I
Oh yeah, I've had that.
yeah. So
or the one that you think like you're falling.
Or I'm falling, yeah. Or I have a lot of dreams where I can fly, but the way I fly in my dreams is I like kick my legs like I'm doggy paddling in the pool, so to speak, like I'm treading water. That's how I kind of get hired. So the whole thing just immediately clicked with me, and it immediately just sparked all kinds of imagery of that, the way that I dream and how I visualize things. And immediately was like, that's it, that's the record cover. So
Yeah,
my sister does really, really cool stuff like this. Yeah, everybody should check her out.
no, what's her name again for people, because that's a great artwork indeed.
Yeah, Danny Joy, Danijoy.
Yeah, check her out, because yeah, that's a great artwork, and it really does represent like the feel of the album. Because sometimes there's artworks that sometimes doesn't go with the music, but this one truly goes with the themes of the record. So when you were writing the lyrics for this, what's your process with writing lyrics?
Yeah. I've tried to think about that, actually. I don't feel like I have something that I can describe. I write music first all the time. That's my process. The music is first. I'm always, I mean, I like to sing. I think the way that I write music on the piano or on guitar is already a bit lyrical in the modes that I kind of move through. So from there, I write the music, and then I just sort of, this is something I think most singers do, but I just mumble, and I start to come up with the melody, and just kind of scat, words come out. And then as soon as I come to a melody line, hook, whatever that I like, a lot of times I just listen back to it, and the words actually form out of sort of the gobbledygook that I hear back. There might be fully formed words in there that I like. There might be a book that I've been reading. I read a lot of philosophy books lately. So those types of things, they'll eke their way out in sort of just bursts as I'm doing this process. Then I listen back with my pen, and I take notes of myself, and I just write, ooh, that sounded close to this. And as soon as I get to a couple of lines that resonate with me, from there, I feel like I get a theme, and I'm able to write the rest of the lyrics based on just a couple of lines. So that's my process.
Yeah, and I saw like a video once of Paul McCartney collaborating with the Foo Fighters, and he for an album that did, and he did something like humming, and then he just started singing something. So it sounds like what you're saying, like you start humming, and then after humming, you can get some words, and then you like write a full song. So seems like something like that. So your process. So the album's coming out this Friday. So I know that you're releasing this with Small Stone Recordings. So people are you gonna put it out? Is it gonna be CD? You're gonna put it on vinyl and a limited edition vinyl. So I'm gonna put the link for people who want to pre-order that. So once the album is out this Friday, what are the plans for IOTA moving forward?
Yeah, right now we are actually in rehearsals for some live shows locally. So we'll do a couple of album release shows. And then later in the summer, there's a festival in Salt Lake City called Crucial Fest. I think we'll play that. There's a lot of bands that come from out of state that come in to perform that. There's a couple of bands that are coming in, and I think we'll be on the bill with them. And I'm sorry, I've forgotten their name, but
no, that's okay. We're here to talk about your band.
Yeah, but so that's it right now, and we're looking forward to doing some shows. I'd like to get back out there. We'll probably take some festival offers and things like that. And we're working on basically just trying to recreate the album as much as possible, because there are harmonized vocals throughout the entire thing. So we're a three-piece, which makes that difficult to do. So we've got a couple of people that we've already sort of drafted into the band that are going to help us out with these release shows, some synth, some extra guitar, and we'll be able to reproduce those vocals. So that's what we're working hard on right now.
Awesome. And is it too soon, or are you already like working on your music, since you worked on this a few years ago?
Yeah, we are working on new music. And nothing really to report just yet, but there is stuff already in the works.
Awesome. So anything before we go that you'd like to say to the IOTA fans?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been a long time since we've been around. There are probably people who have no idea who the hell we are, and there are people who definitely enjoyed Tales very much. We still get a lot of emails and people reaching out how much they liked that record. So I hope the people who liked that record will enjoy this one, and I hope some new people will check us out, just enjoy it. That's it. I hope you guys enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a cool record, and if you listen to all we talked about, I recommend the record. It's really like, but listen to Tales as well, because it's the same band, but you can tell like the difference of the band. Like Tales is more sludgier, like harder, and this one's more psychedelic, but still with the essence of what makes IOTA. So I really enjoyed the record, and the artwork really got me. It's an artwork that people will see it and they're like, oh, I wonder what this sounds like, type of artwork. That's what, because like when you have a band and you like, and sometimes they don't like an artwork that doesn't say anything, like unless you're Metallica and it's the Black Album, you can get away with it. But if them, you can get away with that shit. Make a good album cover so people can be like, I wonder what this sounds like. Sure, you and me, I remember back in the 90s buying an album just because the album cover was awesome and I hadn't listened to a track. And usually, if the album cover was awesome, 9 out of 10, the album was good.
Yep. I remember that too. I mean, half of my record collection was because I just loved the artwork, and I got a lot of favorite bands out of that, for sure.
Yeah, something that the kids today don't get that experience. So Everyone, check out IOTA's new album. It's coming out this Friday. I'm gonna put the link for people who want to pre-order it. And I love the name of the album, Pentasomnia. So Pentasomnia out this Friday. I'll put the link so people can get it. So until next time, people, this is Hector, the chill dude on a couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.